Here's another problem that was asked over email. It's the same type of problem as the previous one that was posted on YouTube just a few minutes ago, 3.4.37. Again, they're asking you directions are use the given zero to find the remaining zeros. They give you this function right here, and then they tell you that one of the zeros is a negative 2i. Okay, so the same as in the last video. You might want to check out the -1 video first. -1 is the previous video, explains a little bit more. I'll go into less detail on this one. This will be the -2 video. So if we know that negative 2i is a 0, then positive 2i also has to be a 0. That's from our conjugate pairs theorem. And so we know that those would have had to have come from this factorization at some point. So we can FOIL this out, x squared 2xi minus 2xi and minus 4i squared to see what, we're doing this to see what factor this came from. Okay, so these two cancel. We're left with x squared minus 4 times -1 because I squared is -1. And so this becomes x squared plus 4. Okay, so what we know is because these two zeros are zeros for this function right here, they had to have come from this factor, x squared plus 4. Therefore, x squared plus 4 is one of the factors, and I can find the other factor, the other quadratic factor of this polynomial right here by doing long division of this into this. Okay, so let's do that on another line. So we're going to take x squared plus 4 and divide it into 2x to the 4th, 7x cubed, 4x squared, 28x, and then minus 16. Okay, so the same way that I did it in the last video, same as in the last video, we're going to take first term into first term, and we're going to kind of make a little list over here on the side to make sure that we keep track of everything. So if I take this first term right here, 2x to the 4th, and I divide it by this first term, that's x squared. Then if I just do that division, I'm going to get a 2x squared. And this 2x squared is what I'm going to place up top here. And then on this line, what I'm going to do is take the 2x squared and distribute it through the whole x squared plus 4. So I'm actually taking this times all of this to write it on this line right here. Okay, so that's supposed to be an arrow. Okay, so it's 2x to the 4th and then plus 8x squared. And notice that I'm lining up like terms. I'm not writing the 8x squared right here because it can't see it real well, but the 8x squared is a like term with the 4x squared, not the 7x cubed. Okay, so when I distribute the 2x squared here, I'm actually lining it up with its like term. Now I have to switch signs. I talked about this in the last video. When you're doing subtraction, doing division is repeated subtraction. So I'm going to change both of these signs. It's like distributing a negative. This becomes negative. Ah, you can see it. Yay, pink. And this becomes negative. Okay. All right. Those had to be 0. The 7x cubed, I'm going to bring that down. And then this is a positive 4x squared and minus 8x squared. So this is a minus 4x squared. And I'm going to bring the rest of the problem along. Okay, now we do it all over again. We're going to take first term into first term. So take this 7x cubed, divide it by the x squared. Off to the side here is my scratch paper. So this is going to give me a 7x. Oops, 7x. And I'm going to take that 7x and put it up top. And then I'm going to distribute the 7x through the whole x squared plus 4. Okay, so that's going to be what goes on this next line right here. Okay. All right, so that becomes 7x cubed when I distribute this. This times x squared, 7x cubed, and then plus 28x. And again, I'm expecting, again, when I multiply through, I need to line them up with their like term. Okay, so we're going to change signs. This one's positive, so it's going to go to negative. This one's positive, so it's going to go to negative. Okay, that adds to be 0. And this is negative 4x squared. That adds to be 0, and then bring down the minus 16. And we do it all over again. So first term into first term. Negative 4x squared divided by x squared. So that is going to give me a negative 4. And that negative 4 is going to go up top. Okay. And then I'm going to take the negative 4 and distribute it through the x squared plus 4. All right, so that's going to be what's going to go on this line right here. When I distribute that, negative 4x squared minus 16. Go to change signs. Both of these are negative this time, so when I change signs, they're going to end up having positive signs associated with them. Okay. Negative and a positive adds to be 0. Negative and a positive adds to be 0. And I have a remainder of 0. Now I'm expecting a remainder of 0 here, because if I don't get a remainder of 0, then I've messed up somewhere. Because I know that x squared plus 4 is a factor, then there should be another factor that doesn't have any remainder. Because if it's a remainder, then it's not actually, an even factor there. So, okay, so what I've just learned is that this polynomial right here is going to factor into x squared plus 4 times what we found from the previous long division. Okay, so I'm finding that h of x is going to factor into x squared plus 4 and 2x squared plus 7x minus 4. Now, obviously, when I go to solve this and I'm setting these pieces to 0, this right here, this x squared plus 4, is what gave us the plus or minus 2i. So we don't need to solve that again. We already know that these two are a couple of the zeros. They just asked us to find the remaining zeros. So I'm going to just solve this quadratic right here. It looks to me like it factors. So we'll have 2x and probably a 4 and a 1 plus and minus, and that will work for that factorization. Oops, need an x right there. Okay, so if I set both of these separately to 0 and then solve, add the 1, so I get 2x equals 1, and then divide by 2, so x is 1/2. That's another 0. Subtract the 4, and x equals negative 4. Okay, so we have 4 zeros in this problem. The plus or minus 2i, the 1/2, and the negative 4.